We all know reality TV is not real in the sense that everything is being scripted and what comes to us, what we see, is only a fraction of what goes on. However, what I do believe is real about reality TV is that it is a reflection of who we are as a society, all of our isms, all of our prejudices, and the true nature of a lot of people. And I cannot think about a better example of all of those things happening right now than how people are responding to this season of Love Island, but more specifically, Nicolandria. Nick and Olandria, and I want to talk about it in this video. Aloha, beautiful humans. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, welcome back if we've been locked in. My name is Sasha, and today we're talking about Love Island. More specifically, people's reactions to Nick and Olandria's relationship. Now, let me be honest, I have not watched all episodes of this season. I've watched a few episodes here and there, but the vast majority of my knowledge of what has happened this season has come from TikTok, people's videos, and more specifically, how people are responding to Nick and Olandria as a couple. And I have a unique perspective about this, A, as a dark-skinned Black woman, but B, as someone who is a dark-skinned Black woman married to a white man, and I want to talk about it from that perspective. Because like I said, reality TV, we all know reality TV is not real. We know that a lot of it is scripted and manipulated by producers to give certain cast members certain edits, the villain edit, the mean girl, the victim, the blah, 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 blah. All of the edits we all know too well if any of us watch reality TV. However, what I have found more interesting than Love Island itself, more specifically this season and Nick and Olandria coupling, I have found people's reactions to Nicolandria, them being together. I have found that more interesting, and I want to talk about people's responses and what it shows about them and all the ways in which colorism and prejudice and stereotypes and racism are still working within our society. There is this angle that Nick and Olandria's relationship is not real, it's fake. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't bat an eye because, again, this is a reality TV show. Everybody is here for different agendas, and it seems like a lot of people are less interested in finding love and more interested in becoming influencers. And hey, get your bag, whatever works for you. If you like it, I love it. Everybody's just trying to pay bills in 2025, and however way you go about it, great for you. Reality TV has launched the careers of many people into being successful influencers, and I'm not mad about it at all. In fact, Married at First Sight, they reached out to me a few years ago. Love is Blind reached out to me, and I was like, I'm very married. You know what I need to do? I need to start putting snowman in my videos, or I just need to start wearing a ring more often, or, you know, just have a random arm or something, because the amount of people who still think I'm single is like, I'm like, I'm flattered, but maybe I carry on like a single woman. I don't know. Maybe I need to get my act together. But anyways, so we all know a significant amount of casting goes into these shows, and a lot of people nowadays are being chosen by not necessarily their desire to find love, but because they already have an active social media presence, or they just look really good. And if you look at the cast of a lot of these shows, they are really beautiful human beings, okay? They look good. They look blessed. Under ordinary circumstances, the idea of a couple being fake and just doing it for camera time and to launch their careers, that would not make me bat an eye one way or the other. But the fact that so many people are coming specifically for Nick and Olandria together as if they could not be attracted to one another for real, as if their relationship could not work, is very curious to me. Now, some people are saying it from the perspective of him and what's that girl, Sierra. They had a lot of chemistry and they looked better together. They fit more than Nick and Olandria fit and looked together. And because they had like a really, you know, they were doing all of those things in the villa before she had to get on because of her repeated use of racial slurs. And now she's trying to give herself the victim edit. Like, girl, please sit down. Sierra is a whole mess. I just saw that video she posted earlier, and I was like, this is massively distasteful. You were caught several times using racial racial slurs. And while I do think it is weird that anybody would collect these screenshots and sit on it and wait for her to become somewhat famous and then release them out into the atmosphere, I do think that is weird. But I also think it's weird that you have been repeatedly using racial slurs and people have told you several times that it is actually a racial slur, and you continue to use it. And when you're finally held accountable for it, all of a sudden you're a victim. Like, girl, sit down. But anyways, a lot of people saw Nick and Sierra together and didn't bat an eye about it, even though she is a woman of color. She is a non-Black woman of color who fits a certain phenotype and look that people put them together and didn't bat an eye. When it comes to Olandria, however, as a dark-skinned Black woman, this girl is gorgeous. Olandria is gorgeous. The only way you do not think Olandria is gorgeous is if you are blind or you're deeply colorist and hateful of dark-skinned Black woman, because nobody can look at that woman and be like, she's not blessed. Like, God really took his time with Olandria. She is so beautiful. But anyways, people really looked at her, sized her up as a dark-skinned Black woman with this very handsome white man. And all of a sudden, we're just like, no, they don't fit. It's fake. And I can only think that people think it is fake because they do not find dark-skinned Black women desirable, or they do not think that a white man would find a dark-skinned Black woman desirable. I think a lot of people are being dishonest about their motivations or what is driving their perspective and opinions as to Nicolandria being not a real couple, being fake, that they're just doing it for camera time. And I don't really see, I've never seen that type of energy for couples, that it was very obvious, in my personal opinion, that they were just doing it for camera time, or there was no chemistry, and that it was fake. Like Chris and Huda, I did not see that at all. It was not going to work for me. But so many people didn't really seem to have the same thought process, and it is because Huda is a conventionally attractive, not white woman, but again, a non-Black woman of color, that when you think about what's our current conventional beauty standards are, especially on social media, she fits that aesthetic, that people would think that she would be an attractive type of person. So it would make sense that Chris would be attracted to her, especially because even though Chris was interested in Chelley, Chris gives me that energy that he only dates white women or maybe non-Black women, which is none of my business. I don't care. I don't feel no ways about it. And if I felt strongly about it, that would be very hypocritical of me because my husband is white. And so because my husband is white, and just listening to a lot of these people's conversations and seeing, oh, this is fake, it's not real, listening to all the dog whistles, I feel like I'm acutely aware to it because of my own life experience, where I have seen and picked up on the energy that people just do not and cannot believe my husband and I are together, because I would not look like his type. I do not look like someone my husband should be attracted to. There was this, and there are so many weird situations at times that have happened with white women who seem genuinely shocked that my husband and I were together. There are so many stories I could tell, but the most egregious one for me was we were at a bar. We were at a friend's party, and he was at the bar waiting for a drink, and I was talking to one of our friends. So I'm just talking, and I realized, oh, wait a minute, I don't have a drink. Oh, he's at the bar? Okay, let me go, because I was gonna text him, but I was like, oh, let me just go over there instead of texting him, because he might not see his phone, or he might not hear it vibrate in his pocket, and then he's gonna come back and I gotta go wait at the bar at the drink. So I go over there, and a woman is talking to him. Another girl is talking to him. I don't care. Like, I don't make anything of it. I don't think anything of it. I'm just like, yo, I need my drink. So I tap him on the shoulder, and this girl whips her head around, and she's like, can't you see I'm talking to him? And I was like, whoa. Calm down. Calm down, girl. Calm down. I'm his wife, and I just need a drink. And she was like, wait, what? And I was like, yep, that's my husband. I just need a drink. And she looked at my husband, and he was like, yeah. But she looked so shocked and just so taken aback. And she was like, wait, you guys are like together? Oh, okay. Rolled her eyes and immediately walked away. And him and I just started laughing, because I'm like, oh my God, are you serious right now? Like, this girl was about to fight me over this man whole time. That's my man. Like, and it ain't no sister, your man is my man, is her. None of that. That's my man. That's my man. Okay, it was so weird. And then another time we were at one of his friends, his engagement party, we were at this engagement party, and the bridesmaids on her side, or her really good friends, they were, just walking around, looking around, trying to get at some guys. They were all single. And they, I saw one of them like looking at me, looking at my husband, looking at me, looking at my husband, talking to each other. And then one of the just more bold girls came up to me and she was like, "Oh, are you guys together?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh, okay." And then goes back to the circle of friends, I guess communicates to them that we're together. All of them look at me, they look at us, kind of laugh, and then walk away. And I'm like, what the just happened here? What just happened here? It was so strange. And those are only two of several experiences that we have had together. And it's not like we're in an area where interracial couples are rare. Like, this is the DMV. I see interracial couples together all the time, but I do not often see Black women with white men together. And I think that that may just break some people's brains. And I understand that we are all fascinated by things we do not typically see. So I'm not necessarily offended that anybody would look at us and, be curious. However, it is the just looks of shock and awe, like, oh my God, they're actually together. More specifically, oh my God, he actually finds her attractive. Like, that's actually his type, because that is exactly what I'm seeing happen with Nick and Olandria being paired together. Now, there's another side of the conversation that is kind of like, I feel weird about, and I talked about it a little bit on TikTok, but I wanted to flesh it out here because I do think that while people are looking at them, my concern is that they're Black women as a whole, Black women, we are constantly being told about all the ways in which we are undesirable. We're so ugly, especially if we're dark skinned, that some of us internalize it and sadly believe it and internalize a great deal of anti-Black racism. And so when we see another group of men interested in us, some of us are validated by another man or a non-Black man finding us attractive. I don't know how to exactly articulate why it makes me so uncomfortable. If I had to put a reason on why it makes me feel so uncomfortable, is I'm just so tired of seeing Black women have to constantly fight for their worth and their value and to just be seen and to constantly feel like we have to have our beauty validated. It really bugs me. And so I posted this TikTok video, but I want to flesh it out just a little bit more because y'all know how TikTok works. Unfortunately, people can't walk and chew gum at the same time and genuinely get pissed at you if a video is longer than 2 or 3 minutes. So here's a video I posted, and watch that, and then I'll come back. While it is absolutely important to talk about the ways in which misogynoir and anti-Blackness and white supremacist standards of beauty, how they impact Black women, and more specifically, how they impact Black women when it comes to the experiences Black women often encounter and face when they are dating, I really think we need to refrain from using people and couples on social media, dating shows, and reality shows as examples of Black women being desired by non-Black men. I do not really watch Love Island, but because it is all over my For You page, I feel like I have been watching the season with everybody else. And I have a lot of thoughts, feelings, and opinions on the show, even though I've never watched the show before. However, something that I have noticed a lot this season, and it's kind of just starting to make me raise my eyebrow, is all of the Nicolandria edits and people saying, using their coupling as an examples of all the ways in which Black women are desired by non-Black men, as if to say, see, this white man wants us, therefore, or this white man wants this Black woman. So that means all white men want Black women, or all Indian, Asian, Hispanic, all men want Black women. Black women are desirable, period. And it's a great way to see the ways in which Black women are being loved by non-Black men. And it might even encourage some Black women to open up their options. However, I just find it so boring, to be perfectly honest, that it is 2025 and all of the opportunities that are available to women, how women are succeeding and thriving outside of their proximity to and relationships with men, how we are still living in a space where a woman's relationship with a man or a woman's desirability is still something we are spending so much time and energy talking about and pursuing and aspiring to.
This may sound hypocritical because yes, I am married, and yes, I am married to a white man. However, the male gaze is not something that I am existing for, and I don't think any woman needs to be existing for. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with women desiring marriage or partnership, and that we shouldn't be talking about and having these conversations about the ways in which, again, anti-Blackness and misogynoir impact Black women in the dating field, and in reality TV, in our society, on social media, particularly dark skinned Black women. However, I just think it creates this environment and almost desperation of Black women to constantly be saying, this person finds this desirable, or looking at these examples in which we see a Black woman with a non-Black man, and everybody puts that on a pedestal as if to say, oh, we are so desirable because this man wants us. You can want partnership. There's nothing wrong with partnership. There's not anything wrong with wanting to see yourself as a standard of beauty or being seen as desired. However, desirability should not be taking up so much of your time and energy and attention that that is the only thing you are focusing on, and looking at these couples on reality TV or on social media as if to validate your worth as a Black woman. Go where you are celebrated, go where you are wanted. It is just as simple as that. You do not have to be looking to any man to validate your beauty and your desirability. Black, non Black, I don't care. Go where you are wanted, go where you are celebrated, go where you are desired, and stop spending all of your time and energy existing and living for the male gaze. Work on you. There's so many things out there outside of relationships and desirability and proximity to a man.
I am always of the mindset that you should go where you are loved, seen, valued, and celebrated. If you are a Black woman and you find love with a white man, an Asian man, a Southeast Asian man, a Latino man, a European man, a Pacific Islander man, whatever, go where you are celebrated, go where you are loved. However, I don't want us as Black women to constantly be on the internet fighting to prove to people your value, your worth, your beauty, fighting so hard to prove all of that to people who are never going to see it for you and are intent on debasing you, devaluing you, disrespecting you, and subjugating you. I do not think it is productive as Black women every single day to be getting on the internet and fighting so hard to be seen and loved and appreciated as we are, because in doing so, it almost lends and gives credence to some of this, or any of this rhetoric, any of this hateful, misogynoiristic rhetoric as being true. You know, what you give attention to, it in some ways validates it, whether big or small. By giving it any energy, by giving it any attention, by fighting so hard against it, you are validating that. And I do not believe for a single second that a Black woman is not desirable, if that a Black woman is any less desirable than any other group of women. I don't believe that. So that's not something that I'm going to give any energy. I don't believe that at all. It's asinine. It is stupid. And so giving that any energy, however, would validate that because it legitimizes it. And it also falls in line with how irritated I am by this feelings are facts movement, where now we are having conversations online. We are having conversations about hard, cold facts, and people are using their feelings and opinions to argue against facts. I think as a whole, we need to stop giving energy to certain things, because even giving that a fraction of your energy or time is now giving space, room, and air for that to even exist, for the counterpoint to even exist, to be on the internet, to be in anyone's mind or heart as a viable thing to even think or believe. And so at the end of the day, go where you are celebrated. Yes, there is a form of prejudice in people thinking that Nick and Olandria's relationship are fake because it is impossible that a white man would be attracted to a Black woman like that. But I also don't think it is helpful or necessary to sit here and go back and forth with people who already have their mind made up. That is showing their own prejudice. That is showing their own stereotypes. That is showing their own anti-Black woman rhetoric and mindset. And that is something that they have to grapple with. I don't think the same way, I don't think a lot of people should or or I mean, if you want to spend your time doing it, that's fine. That's how you spend your time. But I don't think it is helpful to argue with sexist people. I do not think it is helpful to argue with racist people. I don't think it is helpful to argue with homophobic people, because in even trying to reason with them or have any level of conversation with them and listen to their hatefulness, it is almost validating their hatefulness. But I know some people disagree with that line of thinking. So if that's how you choose to spend your time and energy, more power to you. I just know for me, I want to move towards the light. I want to give time and energy and space for the things that I care about, that are important to me, for things that are going to uplift Black women, that are going to put us in the best light and show that we are worthy, we are valuable, we are deserving of love, we are beautiful, we are just as valuable as any other group of women. And I don't have any time or energy to engage with anyone who doesn't think the same way I do in that capacity. I think there are also a group of people who are committed to hating on Chelley and Olandria, especially because of their own anti-Blackness and in defense of particularly Huda. And I think the way that they carried themselves really triggers a lot of people, because they also did not carry themselves in a manner that is so easy for people to stereotype of Black women. They were both very poised. Chelley went through that entire villa getting princess treatment. Olandria, just beautiful through and through, regal, her posture, the way she showed up, makeup was always on point. Neither of them ever was caught doing the horizontal tango on camera. Meanwhile, the other girls were just tossing it up. But also it is because as Black women, especially Olandria as a dark-skinned Black woman, I think they were both very acutely aware of the fact that, as many Black women we are aware of, that we cannot carry ourselves as other women do. The consequences would be so much different if they were in that villa acting like Huda, just going around sleeping with everybody on camera the same way as Sierra. Both Chelley and Olandria knew that they could not be in that villa dropping it low and spreading it wide like Sierra and Huda. And so they carried themselves in a much more dignified, poised way. And so the fans who are insistent on attacking or dismissing or showing any level of anti-Blackness towards Chelley and Olandria, they couldn't drag down their character. They couldn't demean them based on their character. They couldn't give them this ghetto edit. So what they do instead is go to the fact that they were bullies. Chelley and Olandria, they were bullies towards Huda by doing what exactly is anybody's guess. Establishing boundaries. I don't know. I guess that being a Black woman, being unwilling to listen to somebody cry and whine all the time and self-victimize, and instead establish boundaries or say, hey, I don't want to talk about this right now. And then Huda activates her white women's tears. And I've seen a lot of people being like, oh, well, Huda is not white, so they cannot be white women's tears. She's not white, yes, but she also benefits from proximity to whiteness. And she does this thing a lot of white and non-Black women do, which is use their tears against Black women to manipulate everyone else around them, so Black women can be seen as mean and vindictive and hurting her feelings, all because Huda is not getting the attention she wants. And that has happened to me many a times. And what it has done, I've just learned, I mean, I'm a sensitive person anyway, and I do be crying a lot. But what I learned from that, and watching all the white women around me from a young age manipulate and use their tears that way, now I can cry on cue. Like, it is a valuable life skill. Learn to cry on cue, okay? If you're a Black woman watching this and you're in certain spaces, start crying before they can cry. That is my advice. Learn to cry on cue. Weaponize your tears the way a lot of these women do. Just start crying. Just start crying. Any sign of conflict, just start crying. I'm kidding, but not really. But yeah, I can talk about, maybe I'll do a separate video on Huda. I don't know. There's so many videos flying around out there about her, and I think all of them are really spot on. I don't think that I would add to the conversation in a tangible way, but this whole idea of Nick and Olandria not being compatible, or they're faking their connection, or they don't look like they go well together. If you found yourself thinking that, that is some level of anti-Black blackness in you. More specifically, you have bought into the narrative that dark-skinned Black women are not attractive, and or white men cannot and should not be attracted to dark-skinned Black women who look like me, women who look like Olandria, and that is a sign you got some work to do. So like I said, reality TV, it's not real, but it does something real that I appreciate, which is expose people's true natures, their prejudices, their beliefs, and what exists in their minds and hearts. And I honestly will say that Huda is going to become one of my litmus tests moving forward, because the way she behaves to me is just highly problematic. It's deeply concerning, and that there are so many people who ride for her. That is going to be my litmus test of not only how healed or unhealed as an individual you are, but if you are someone who needs to be around me, because people like Huda are very dangerous. And I do not need that energy anywhere around me. But drop that in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching the video. Do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, peace out.